Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I go by the name of Maroon Riddimz in the music world, if you guys do not know me. And I wanted to take this time out today in this video to tell you guys a little bit about my story, my journey in the music world. So, I have been a music producer and an engineer for most of my life, most of my young life. I was one of the people that knew I wanted to do this since I was like 13 years old, probably. When I was 13, I remember going to soccer practice, and I remember having a family friend, by the name of producer Tony Kelly. If you guys don't know him, he is a major reggae dancehall producer. He worked on a lot of stuff with Beanie Man, Sean Paul, etc., etc. A lot of the songs you guys would know from like a decade or two ago. So I met him, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Just to back up a little bit before that, though, I was one of the kids who sang every song on the radio. I used to listen to all the rap songs, and I used to know all the lyrics to every song on the radio, a lot of them, the popular ones, and I used to sing along to all the songs. And I was really into rap music growing up. That's what I grew up on here. I grew up here in South Florida, and yeah, that's what kind of I love the beats. I fell in love with them. I fell in love with the music of it. I remember that specifically. I know a lot of you guys know me for reggae, but actually rap, hip hop was my first love and introduction to music. So I happened to meet Tony Kelly, who was a famous and successful producer, and he also inspired me to do what he does. I mean, watching what he did, I got to watch him in the studio. I mean, at that age, like, that's, I was in the studio watching him work with Beanie Man when I was like 15 or 14. I mean, that was a dream come true for me. So yeah, I really wanted that in a lifestyle. I said, you know what, this is for me. That's what I want to do. And I decided back then, I said, yeah, I'm gonna make beats. I'm gonna be behind the scenes, which is perfect because I'm a shy person. So I'm gonna be behind the scenes, and I'm gonna be super successful and rich and have a big house and big car and everything. And also I'm gonna love what I do, which was the most important thing. I wanted to love what I did always, because back then I was like, we start to think about as kids, what do we want to be when we grow up? What do we really want to be? Not because our Jamaican parents tell us to become doctors or lawyers. That's what we want. We want to be happy. So I knew that back then, and I thought that making beats, I knew that music was gonna make me happy because it already was making me happy. So moving on, I had that idea in my head when I was about 14, 15, just hanging out with friends around the neighborhood. I would they would come to my house, right? And I would go to my other friend's house, but mostly they would come to my house, and we would like record on my computer. I didn't have much. I was messing around. My dad brought me back this program called Magic's Music Studio, I believe it was, and it allowed me to record in there. I managed to figure it out myself. I don't even think there was YouTube, or maybe I didn't know about it. I'm not sure, but I figured it out, and I would invite all the kids from my school, all my little friends, and all the people from the neighborhood too, to come over and record these songs with me. We had LimeWire and Napster and all these things back then. I would download the beats, download industry beats, and I would put them on that program, and we would record songs. We'd make our own songs, and then I would also go like in my school and pass out CDs of the songs that I made, and songs that I made with my friends, and all of that. It was a really interesting time, interesting journey. So That's where I started. I always started recording and just trying to figure it out. I didn't know anything though at all about any type of technical aspect. I knew nothing. So um, I was doing that for a little bit, uh, and then until I got introduced to FL Studio. So I wanted to obviously upgrade that. I wanted to start making beats as well. I was just recording, having fun with my friends. I wanted to make beats, right? I wanted to be a producer. So I immediately, I think I asked my dad for FL Studio or something. I ended up getting it. It was like FL Studio 4 or 3. It was one of the beginning ones. And yeah, I started just figuring out how to make beats. And I started making beats, and then me and my friends started to record on those beats that I was making. So we had a little rap group going on. I used to have a little rap group when I was like 14, 15 called AMR. If you guys know me, if you're listening and you know me from way back then you're a real one, because that's like the beginning, like Nardwar type stuff. Like no one knows about that, but when I was like, yeah, we were like 15 maybe, couldn't be older than that. And yeah, we used to rap and sing on these beats, and just, you know, just for fun. I mean, I know back then we probably thought we were gonna be the biggest thing, and we used to tell everyone in our school and out here, you know, in South Florida, where you know I grew up. You know, in our age group, you know, we used to, people at the schools knew us, the kids at our schools knew us and stuff like that, for that. And yeah, people always used to come to me to the side and hype me up and be like, yo, Maroon, you know, like, I did call myself, I think I called myself Maroon back then. When did that happen? That happened, I think, that happened about 15. So yeah, they were like, Maroon, man, you got something there, man. You got something. You should keep going with this music thing. And some people would tell me that, and it would definitely encourage me, and definitely continue to motivate me, to make me feel like I'm on the right path. On the other hand, though, I experienced the same thing that a lot of people experience, a lot of kids experience when they pursue music. You know, your family. When you go to your family and you say, hey, I want to do music, and it wasn't necessarily my mom and dad. It was also a lot of other extended family too, that, you know, they say, hey, you know, how are you gonna make a living, and I don't think you should do this, and all of those things. And that used to get me really upset, because I knew that it wasn't just a phase, you know, but they thought that it was just a phase for me. And I think that hurts when you're a kid, definitely. You gotta let kids just do their thing and explore, you know, and let the phases come and go. So yeah, we had this group, and we were performing at the little birthday parties and stuff once in a while, and passing our CDs out. And then eventually the day came when I said, hey guys, you guys want to perform like at this big school thing that's going on? I don't want to do that, man. And I think I broke all of their hearts. I was like, man, I'm not. I knew I was always a behind the scenes person. Even though I was always good at the artist part of things too, always. But back then it wasn't me. It didn't feel like me in my spirit, you know. So I said, nah, you know what, guys, I'm gonna focus on making beats. That's what I want to do. So broke their hearts, ended up making beats. We're all still friends, of course. And yeah, I started my journey producing, trying to make beats, figuring out how to download different third-party software in FL Studio and get all these new instruments going and get professional, and learning about, you know, researching just different ways how to use FL Studio, making beats with other friends, finding people, etc., etc. When I was about 16, maybe, I think I was 16, I started exploring other different types of music too. My dad always played reggae, of course, around the house and in the car and stuff, in the cassette tapes. I always loved it. But, you know, growing up in America, hip-hop is everywhere. So one day I discovered, you know, because I was downloading music like everyone else, I discovered Sizzla and you know, all the big reggae artists, Capleton, and of course the dancehall ones too, Vibes Cartel, and all these guys. You know, the list can go on and on and on. Idonia, all these guys. And I discovered Stephen McGregor, Stephen the Genius McGregor, and he was their producer, and he changed the game for dancehall back then. I mean, first I want to say I fell in love with dancehall and reggae. I mean, once I found, like, you know, Sizzla and all those guys, and Sizzla was my favorite artist, right? So once I found him, and once I found everyone else in Jamaica doing music that was big, I fell in love. And I would listen to them non-stop, right? Non-stop. Like, I'm one of the biggest reggae fans out there, like Jamaican reggae. I love it. That's my favorite type of music, you know, favorite. So it took over me. And I found Stephen McGregor, and he changed. I used to like dancehall too, and he changed dancehall. He changed the whole scene, the whole sound of it, right? And I looked up to him. Big up Stephen. I looked up to him big time during that era, and he really motivated me. He's like, I want to be just like Stephen, you know, because he was young. I think he was my age. He was like 16 or maybe a year older than me or something, and everyone was saying, yeah, this little 16-year-old is making all these beats and making all the beats for the biggest artists in Jamaica. And I was like, damn, I want to be that. I want to be that. So I just did the best I could and produce all these beats and blah blah blah. So I started to make these beats, and I started to get my friends on them. I started to try to meet other artists. I met other artists around my hometown here, around South Florida. I met a friend of mine named Shooter Films, and a bunch of other people too. And I would make beats for them, and they would just hop on it, and I would just hope for the best, you know. But one day, Shooter came back from the studio. I gave him a beat. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna record this. He took it somewhere to record it. He came back to my house. He showed me, played it for me. And as soon as he played it for me, I said, what? How does it sound like that? That sounds really good. The quality of your voice on that, like, does it sound good? He said, oh yeah, I took it by Trey Deuce, man. He recorded me and did his thing. I said, Trey Deuce, who is that? Oh yeah, it's my boy out in North Miami. Yeah, he you know, we recorded his house, and he put a little mix on there and stuff. And yeah, I said, I have never made my voice sound that good, or anyone else's voice sound that good before. That's what I'm missing in my quality. Please take me to him and introduce me. So he took me there one day, I got his number. Next day I came back, called him up. It was a weekend, I think it was a Saturday. I called him up and I said, hey Trey Deuce, what's up? It's Maroon, man. Hey, I just want to know, is there a way you could teach me Pro Tools? He was using Pro Tools, so to mix. Is there a way you can teach me Pro Tools? Because I wanna learn how to record and mix better, more professionally. He said, yeah, come by. As a matter of fact, that's good, because I need somebody to like help me out, record other people and stuff. So yeah, so I said awesome. So I would borrow my dad's car whenever I could, every other weekend, every few weekends, and just drive up there. And it was just a little, you know, he had his little apartment. You know, go up in there, everybody smoking weed and doing their thing in there, and I was just in there, like sitting next to him, ready to learn, like see how he recorded people. So he had his local little crew, family members, friends, people that would come by and just record. They would rap, they would sing and dance, all reggae, whatever. So I learned the way that he learned how to work Pro Tools and how to mix and how to record. So he didn't know, from what I know now is completely different, right? Because I can say now that it wasn't in the most professional, it wasn't the correct, proper way to do things, but he was getting things done, and I was amazed by it, and it helped me to learn how to start using that program. Because, you know, for those of you who don't know, if you're just starting out, Pro Tools is the industry standard for recording music, period. A lot of people use different things at their house, but Pro Tools is still #1 industry standard. So I got to use that, and I eventually ended up going to my friend's house, which was lived by me. His name was Ramiro Rowe. Him and his dad actually had a little studio in there. His dad is a professional guitarist from Puerto Rico, and he had his own little Pro Tools setup in there with his interface and stuff. And Ramiro, his son, which was my friend, wanted to record as well, so we would go and use his dad's studio, and he had Pro Tools, so I would kind of get practice there, like figuring it out how to, and then we would run into issues sometimes, like I can't copy and paste this hook, I can't do this, I can't, you know, and he would try to come in, his dad would come in and try to help us figure it out, but you know, he wasn't necessarily an engineer, so we just, you know, I just kind of got by. I got by just kind of learning what I could, you know. So around that time though, while I was learning how to engineer, I was also still making beats. One of my biggest successes as a beat maker before I was 20 was was a beat called the West Pines Rhythm. If you guys look that up, you'll see what it is, and you'll see who's on it, and see me there probably in one of the videos. But the West Pines Rhythm was a dancehall rhythm that I made when I was 18, 17, and it got a few big people on it from Jamaica. It had Vibes Cartel, it had Conscience, it had a few others, and I was really excited to release that and to have that under my name. So me and Shuta, he was doing he was also an artist, but at the time he was doing film as well, shooting music videos. So I was always on set with him, and I did a lot of that too. I was just always around. So we went to shoot the videos for the West Pines Rhythm. So we went up there to Jamaica. We went and we met with all these artists. We went and shot, you know, Vibes Cartel there at one of his houses, and we shot Conscience, and we filmed all the other artists too, G Wiz and Tiana and all these other people who were on there, and I got to meet them personally. And of course, me coming back at the time with Vibe Cartel, with his contact information, and being able to meet him, and he was very nice to me, very cool. After I came back to Florida, after that whole trip, I was like, yeah, this is it. You know, I'm super excited for this drop because I'm feeling like I'm gonna blow. It's over. I got all the links. I'm good. And then Vibes Cartel, come to find out a month or 2 months later, I forgot, he ended up going to jail. And we know now that he's in jail for a very long time. So that ruined the relationship. That's the point here. So obviously, like, that contact was gone, and you know, anyway, we dropped the rhythm, and it was still exciting to be able to release that. And yeah, I was excited about that, but of course I wanted more. I mean, I don't think I was making any money off this back then, but I was doing what I wanted as far as producing, making beats, doing what I said I was gonna do, and that's super important. I also mixed all of the West Pines Rhythm as well, so I made the beat and I mixed it, just for extra information, and I did it all in my bedroom. Actually, this room, it didn't look like this back then. This was my bedroom where you know, I had my bed in here and everything. It was a completely different thing. So now of course this is my studio, but yeah, so that was one of my successes back then. Yeah, after that I finished high school, and it was about time for me to think about going to college. So I ended up going to Miami-Dade College for my little prerequisite stuff, my little take my math, my blah blah blah. But you know what? I ended up going for computer science. I finished high school and I said, what am I gonna do? My dad does IT. He's trying to push me in that direction. You know I can probably make good money in there. I'm computer savvy. I just will probably be miserable, but let's try it out. So I went to Miami-Dade at the very beginning of my college career. I took a few classes, and then when it came time for that computer class, I took it. Of course, I passed it. It was just computer basics, but I was miserable taking it. So I said, that's it. I'm not registering for another semester. Call my family, call my dad, call my friends for advice. My dad said, I called my dad and I said, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out of college. I'm dropping out. He said, you must be crazy. You can't do that. I said, I need to because I'm not going to do this. What am I going to do then? He said, you better get a degree because I'm a Jamaican parent and I am not going to get into... He just was not going to accept. If you have a West Indian or Caribbean parent, you will understand this. He's not going to accept me continuing my life without a degree. So I had to figure out what I was going to do because I wasn't going to do that anymore. Computers was just, I'd rather not be miserable in my whole entire life. We're on this earth to live. And for me, this is just for me, not for other people, but for me, getting into the corporate world just wasn't, it just isn't my thing. I would live a miserable life in the corporate world. So I decided that I was going to... Oh, and by the way, that's where the name Maroon comes from. I know I'm jumping here, but I chose my name Maroon at 15, 14 years old. There's two reasons. One, I took a African American history class in high school, and they taught me about the Maroons and how they were the ones to break away from the slave owners in various countries, but in this case including Jamaica. And I just thought that was like a symbolism or like a metaphor or something for like me breaking away from what society is training me to do here in school, what they want me to do, what my family wants me to do, what everyone wants me to do, right? They want me to grow up, go to school, become a doctor. Oh, sorry, I was falling asleep. But they all want me to do that. And I didn't want to do it. From back then, I knew that that wasn't for me. So, also, my grandmother was a big reason for me choosing that name. She told me about the Maroons, and she told me about how we have a family history from her side, from the Maroons, the Maroon people, which are the ones who broke away from the slave owners in Jamaica, from the British, and ran up to the hills to create their own community and to fight them. And I just thought that was a big symbolism, because I feel like anybody who breaks away from the corporate world and fights against and starts their own business or just does what they want to do on their own is a Maroon. And I don't want to say that this is for everybody either. Some people are happy. If you are happy being a doctor or a lawyer or being whatever in the corporate world, then that is fantastic. It's great that the system worked for you. It's great. It just doesn't work for all of us. And it's not for all of us. It's not for me. That's not the life that I want to live. I see how my dad and how other people live, how, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to live off a 2 weeks vacation in the United States. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not living my life. Yes, I can provide a life. You can provide a life financially very well if you do these things, right? But anyway, that's another, I don't want to get too off track here. So, um, I decided to go to a music school, music college. So I asked myself, well, I started doing some research. I remember Tony Kelly took me up to Full Sail, me and his daughter up there, because his daughter was looking into something else, and I ended up going with him, with them, and to see like the music, what the music program was about and stuff. And yeah, that was a cool experience. So Full Sail was an option. There was the other few that were options too. There was SAE, and there was Miami International University of Art and Design, pretty much like an art institute of Miami. So my dad said I need a degree, right? He said he's not going to allow me to continue living on this earth without me having a degree. So the Art Institute of Miami, let's just call it that, was the only school that I found, that one of the few that offered an audio production degree. I mean, there's like Berkeley probably and all that, but that's like if you're like a musician. This audio production degree at Miami International University of Art and Design was for pretty much engineering, and that's what I was doing. So I said, yeah, let me go learn that. So, and it was a commute. I'm already in South Florida, so I could drive there rather than having to go figure out dorms and all of that. Come on, like, and my parents are not rich to just buy me all these, you know what I mean? No, I had to figure it, you know what I mean? We have to figure things out and figure out what's smart. So that was the smartest thing to do. So I did that, and I did 4 years of college there and graduated with my audio production degree. Taught me more about Pro Tools, taught me the right way to do things, taught me the technical way to do things. But of course, there are, things that it didn't teach me, and I'm not going to get into that, but that's my story. I finished there, got my degree in audio production, and then came out to the real world and was like, what am I going to do now? I have no idea. I'm working at IKEA at the time, and I've just graduated college, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. So I, think about it. That's it. I mean, I think about what I went there for. I thought about, should I do audio for movies? Should I blah, blah, blah? Should I do this? I don't know. I explored some of these routes. It didn't really feel right to me. I was working at IKEA, like I said at the time, and I was really miserable there, because what did I just say about corporate jobs and me? They do not work. So I needed to leave against maybe what other people would think was smart. I did not have anything saved up, or much, maybe like $1,000. That's it. And I had a breakdown one day when I was at work, just kind of mentally within my own head. I was 22 years old, and I said to myself, I'm 22 and I'm still not working in music. What am I doing with my life? I panicked. I said, no, I'm going the wrong direction. What am I going to do, be stuck here? I was turning 23 in about 6 months, in May. I told him I was going to quit the day before my 23rd birthday, because I couldn't be 23 years old. And for me at the time, that was like a huge number. 23 years old and not working in music yet. Like, what did I go to school for? What am I going to school for? what did I want my whole life to be since I was 13, and I'm about to be 23 and I'm still not doing it at a level where I'm making money. I was not having that. So that's what I did. The day before my 23rd birthday, I walked out of IKEA. I mean, I gave them no notice months before, but that was my plan. I walked out the day before and I said, nope, not a day. Not one more day. Not one more day of not doing this. So I had to figure it out. Figure it out. This is where my real music and engineering journey began. So I had to decide, am I going to go do some type of corporate job with music? At the time I was like, it's gonna make me miserable. I'm sensing being miserable, so let me not jump into that yet. Should I make beats? I'm not really, during my years of making beats, I'm not really finding that profit. I'm not really finding that being able to pay my bills. I mean, that's the main thing. So, no. Engineering, maybe I should try that out. So, I started engineering. My friend Nico had a studio at his house in his garage. I didn't have this that I have right now behind me. And I started to get whoever I could to come by and let me record them. It was not for anything expensive. It may have been for like, it was just whatever rate I could get, and I started doing it. And once I did that, I mean, I had a session maybe like once a week, maybe. I was barely, it wasn't even enough to survive. Eventually all my money ran out, and of course I was panicking. I just had to get more clients. I was on the ropes. So I called up one of my friends that I graduated with and I asked him, hey, that studio that you're working at, are they looking for anyone else? Oh, let me check, blah, blah, blah. He checked, called me back. I ended up going over there. This is some hood studio out there. You know, it's some, you know what I mean? Wasn't the best environment, was not the best clients at all. But I was there getting my foot in the door and starting, so I was grateful for that. And I went there and I worked and I started engineering and recording people for $10 an hour. That was what I was making at IKEA at the time. I was making $9 an hour, I think, at IKEA at the time. So hey, if I can get 10, of course it's less hours though, because people only record for like 2, 3, 4 hours at a time, and then you go home and you wait for another call or whatever. So, you know, but it's a start, man. It was just a start, and I was grateful for it. And the reason why I had to go to a studio is because they were bringing clients to me. My friend's studio in his garage, I had to find my own clients. So there was people that I used to work with at IKEA that did their little music, did a little rap thing on the side, and I would tell them I'd record them. And then there was whatever other friends I had around the neighborhood who was still doing music or whatever, whoever I could find. But they brought me clients there, so, and they weren't the best clients, which thank God everything lined up, because I wasn't gonna find myself being there much longer. Yeah, the clients were not the best, and I wasn't happy there. So my friend Ramiro gave me a call on the way home from there one night and said, hey, there's a studio that we just built over here in Hialeah. I want you to come check it out, because there's nobody here to record us. It's just open studio. It's a private label. We got the owner here. I'm part of the label with like 2 or 3 other people, and we just want to, you know what I mean, just come check it out. We just built it. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll come right now. So he said, yeah, I'll call you back or whatever. Oh no, I think I went through that night. I did go through. I went over there and checked it out, said hi to everybody, went home. And I was like, thank God for that, because one client at this hood studio that I was just at was disrespectful. And when I say disrespectful, they're just like being difficult, being kind of like just not being easy to work with, and just kind of not respecting me or my time or my patience. You know what I mean? And I don't really, at the beginning I had to go through that a few times, and I don't deal with that anymore. Like, if any sign of that nowadays, I just get up and leave. I already paid my dues, man. I don't need to be doing that. But back then, I didn't pay anything. So I needed to just go through what I needed to go through, and dealing with difficult people and sometimes a little rude or disrespectful people. So anyway, he called me again, Ramiro, for that new studio. It was called HQ Studios in Hialeah. And I ended up getting up out of my bed right now. I had my girlfriend at the time, and she was like asking me, she was tripping why I'm getting up at like 11 o'clock. They called me late, like 11:30 at night. Like, I think I was in bed. Hey, just can you come to the studio right now? We want to record. I said, opportunity? Yes, please. So I got up out of bed. My girlfriend was like, why are you leaving? They don't want anything for you there, whatever nonsense. And then that's when I knew in my mind that that relationship was over. But that's another conversation. So I ended up getting up and going to the studio, and I ended up just trying to figure out the board. They got like a C24 board. It's an old little digital board, and just trying to figure that out. And I ended up figuring it out, and I ended up like recording them, doing a little test record. And the owner said, hey, just come record for free this one night, and we'll put you like on a pay schedule, whatever. I was like, oh, this is awesome, whatever, I'll take what I can get right now. I got nothing. So I did it. They loved the way that I record. They loved it because I had the practice from everything before that, from the hood studio from school, from everything, from learning off of my friends or my colleagues, whoever I could find. That I would just pick things like, oh, they record like my friend Nico. I would watch him record, and he had a different journey, a different path, and he would go and do like internships and other things that whoever he was learning from, I was watching him, and I was learning from Nico and saying, oh, that's how you do it. He would teach me things like, oh, he would see me moving and be like, why you record by pressing it, by clicking it there? Just use the shortcut because it's just a lot faster. Just little things. He used to just help me out, and I used to watch him record and say, oh, I like how he does that there, and just take that. I used to take what I liked. So I started working at HQ. The owner said, hey, we don't have much of a budget right now, you know what I mean? This is what I can give you. I can give you $50 for every session you do. Again, guys, this is the beginning. So I said, yeah, of course, I'll do it. So I was there like 3 days a week, and we were there though it wasn't hourly. We were there from like 10 at night to like 6, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and I mean, this was one of my friends that I was working with too, and then there was the other artist that was signed to them at the time, and it was fun, it was cool, it was good energy. That was the most important thing to me. It was good energy. They were respectful. They praised me a lot for my work. I was there I was there figuring out the board, how everything was routed, figuring out Pro Tools and how to work how to work with my template as fast as possible. Like, I got thrown in the fire, and I just found the fastest way to work and the best way to work. So after that, he said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make it a public studio. I'm gonna bring in other people from the outside now. I said, okay, great. He's like, you want to work with them? I said, yeah. So I don't know what he did on his end. Maybe he knew people. Maybe they did advertisement. I don't remember, but there were some calls that would come in about the studio, and random people would come and just start recording with me, and I was knocking every single one of them out the park. I mean, I was giving everyone exactly what they wanted. I was being a pretty good engineer. And I met so many people. I was there for maybe 3, 4 years, something like that. And I met so many people there. So many people know me, and I think that's why here in South Florida, a lot of people here know me or know of me when it comes to studio work, because I've met so many people in the studio. I mean, to this day, when I go out, just random people just stop me and say, "Hey, Maroon," and I'm like, "Where? Who are you?" I don't know a lot of these people sometimes because they came with a different artist or whatever, and just it was just a blessing to just have been there to work with this, with so many people, and I got to create my own rate for the studio. So I would take, I went from $10 an hour to 15 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 40. Just kept creeping up and moving up as I got better. And I got more efficient, and I mastered my template and exactly how I work. Which is why today, of course, I made a course in the description below to teach you guys all of that. But so once I got established there, there was the next test that was ready for me, which was famous people coming in. So little did I know that I'd be working with people that like Chino and Nacho and just a bunch of famous Latin artists that would come by there once in a while that the owner knew, I guess. And it was just, I remember laughing to myself, because when I was back in school, I graduated by this point, by the way. I kind of skipped over that part, but and somewhere in between that, before I started at HQ, I graduated college way before that. I think before I started working at the Hood Studio too, I graduated. So I remember though, near graduation and talking to a teacher, and a teacher saying to the class, "Hey, there's a lot of Latin music out here in Miami, so where are you guys gonna go for this and that or whatever?" And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know Spanish. So I don't know if Miami is a good fit for me as far as working as an engineer. I was worried. I was scared of that. Man, next thing you know, I'm working with all these famous Latin artists that are coming into the studio, and I'm just laughing to myself because they're coming in, they're speaking to me in Spanish, in English too, and I'm learning, and I'm just going, and they're like, "Hey, you're Jamaican?" Hey, they're loving it. They're loving the fact that I'm Jamaican, and they just, all these people, and it was just such a surprise to work in that side of things, and for that to just come to me. And then another studio that opened up nearby named Mars Studio. I was there when that opened up. I started doing sessions there as well, both of them. So Mars is another really nice studio. So that was even an upgrade. So these are like 4 years of me just grinding and just grinding, just going, just showing up, doing my work, being the best engineer I can be, making sure that I'm faster than the next person, that I'm better than the next person, that I'm taking this seriously. My service is better, my attitude is better, and my work, my quality is better. Just making sure that they gotta come back to me. And that's how I became a full-time engineer there, full-time. So yeah, Mars opened up, like I said, and I started recording the same or more famous people there. And that was a good experience. And then I started working for the producer that owned Mars, that owned half of it at the time. So I started being his engineer. He's a Jamaican producer. Yeah, it was just a great experience working with all of these people and learning. you know. And after working there for a while, though, I had the producer hit me up of Mars and be like, hey, come over here today at 3 o'clock. I'll have a artist that I need you to record. They need an engineer. So I pull up. It's an artist by the name of Kalash. Those of you who know me today know that I'm one of Kalash's. I'm pretty much his main engineer. So we have a great relationship, a great working relationship, and we're good friends. And back then, I met him for the first time in that studio, and him and his manager. And that was a life-changing experience to me. You never know when somebody's gonna just stick with you and take you with them. So I recorded one song for him, the first song, because they were in Miami traveling here to record his album. Recorded one song. After that song was done, after that session was done, they said, hey, what are you doing for the rest of the week? I said, I mean, I have some bookings here and there, but you know, I'm available. They said, hey, I loved what you did. Can you record a whole album for the whole week? I said, hell yeah. So I did. I recorded most of the album there, and then they asked me after that, can you mix? I said, yeah, I can mix. Okay, we're gonna give you one song. Can you see, we wanna see how you mix, if you can do this for us. I did it for them. And I think his song was called Big Machine. I did that, and they said, yeah, we love this. We want you to mix all these songs on the album. And from then on, it was just building that relationship, and I've worked on most of his music since back then, and I believe that was the Moon album. Yeah, from that album all the way on to today. So Moon, and I did Diamond Rock as well. And that was just a relationship I was so happy to have, because they are such good people, and they you know, I loved working with them. They loved working with me because I understood Kalash is someone who is from Martinique, you know, and he has that island flavor because he does hip hop and he does dancehall. So of course, me being Jamaican and being big into dancehall, we grew up on the same influences. He grew up on Bounty Killer and Movado and Cartel and all these, the same people I grew up on listening to. So we understood each other, and I knew exactly what he was trying to do. So that's when that artist engineer connection happened. And next thing you know, they're bringing me to all these places. I'm flying to Martinique, I'm flying to Paris, I'm flying to here, Dubai, and we're just working together, and it's been such a blessing. So anyway, the time for HQ Studios came to an end eventually. The owner ended up going to jail. I know people going to jail. I don't know why these stories keep ending like this, but that's what happened. And that situation kind of got messy. And I mean, he went to jail, don't get me wrong, with nothing that had to do with the actual studio itself. I mean, it's stuff that people choose to do on their own time, you know. So he ended up going to jail, and it ended up not being, you know, kind of a comfortable place for me to be anymore. It wasn't comfortable. It wasn't being able to be ran right or managed right anymore. So I ended up thinking, like, what am I gonna do? I ended up making this studio here in my house, in this house here, and I started to invite all my clients here, and guess what? They all came. And that's when I realized that artists do not follow a studio, they follow an engineer. Let me say that again. Artists do not follow a studio, they follow their engineer. So just by me leaving there, all of the people that I was recording would go to wherever I would bring them to because they trust me to make their music sound and feel right. So I was between recording here at home, my home studio, and at Mars Studios, which was also again a nice studio. It's back and forth. Um, so working for this producer, we worked together in there for I think a few years or so, and I was dabbling in the producing thing a little bit still with him, but mainly my role came to be an engineer. And I think that ultimately I always chose that because that was just paying my bills and it was getting my foot in the door. It just made sense. It made sense. So I was engineering for him. I mixed songs like Privado and a few others. And I got to meet a lot of more famous people, which was awesome. I mean, like, recorded people like Jim Jones and people there like Nicky Jam and Farruko and Bad Bunny and all these people that would come by to work with him. Since I was his engineer, I would be the one that would record them most of the time. He used to hit me up to come record them because it's hard to trust. You couldn't trust any other engineer. So working there, that's where my experience came with working with the industry, because there's two sides to the music thing, right? There's your music business and then there's the music industry. I think ever since then, the industry has its pros and cons, which I don't want to get into right now, but there are some things like dealing with people's egos and stuff like that, mainly that I didn't like too much, and it reminded me of a 9 to 5 and being miserable, that I took a step back from the industry. I took a step back. And I was scared to take that step back because I didn't know, it's like you're on a path to move up and up and up, and I've been moving up, but now I'm choosing to move back for my happiness. That's why. And I was happier. I kind of left that studio. It's just here in my home studio, working with my same local clients, being happier, being more free. Stepping away from the industry. Still working with, let me put it this way, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's how I've been since then. So to this day, people ask me, Maroon, you're supposed to be working with this person and that person. Why aren't you over here? Why aren't you over there? Why are you not in LA? Why are you not da-da? I'm looking for happiness, guys. That's my story, and that's ultimately what it's about. What it comes down to for me. Not being miserable, looking for happiness. I find happiness in the few industry people that I do work with. I do still get big opportunities on my own, though, and on my own terms. I don't know what the future will come to. I don't know where it will lead, but I'm trusting God and I'm trusting my decisions to be happy. And I'm just going to keep on going. I can say this, I'm happy and grateful to be a full-time engineer for almost 10 years. What has been 7 years? I was 23. I'm grateful. I'm happy. I have time for my family, for the things that I feel are important. You never know with relationships as well who's going to take you where and what's going to happen and what blessings are coming your way. I met a client that I thought he wanted to record with me. I just thought it was going to be a everyday client. Just another client. Cool guy. Ended up opening a studio in, over here in South Florida, in Plantation. I never knew that was going to happen when I met him. Ends up telling me, Maroon, I'm opening up this huge studio. Beautiful studio, by the way. It's where I am now. It's my residency. He said, Maroon, this studio, you're going to run it. It's yours. What a blessing. All because that first time I had a session with him, I cared. And I was just doing my thing, doing me as an engineer, which means caring and being good to people, being right to people, being honest, going the extra mile, doing what I do as an engineer. Doors open. So I'm grateful for that. And that studio is where I'm at today, and I'm there almost every day working, and it's still, at this point right now, it's still continuing to build, and I'm doing other things. I just created a course. I released a course to help people to learn how to record in Pro Tools, learn how to be an engineer just like me, just like everything I just explained. If you're interested in that, the link is in the description for my course to teach you everything about being the best recording engineer, everything that you need to know so that you can even skip school and save so much time, save all the time in the world. It's there, and people are taking it and loving it, and I'm happier. And this is what it's about for me, and who knows where the journey may lead. But if you're still here now listening to this super long story, I appreciate you, and I hope it was somewhat interesting or inspiring or anything. If you took anything from this, then that's amazing. So, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.